People need to hear this.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Well, we'll kind of dive into it. I'm glad we were able to chat today. I know you talked to Matt for a minute. He had kind of filled me in on some of the conversation, but I just wanted to take some time and kind of figure out if we can help continue building your business. I'm assuming at this point you've probably watched and learned quite a bit about how we do this on our pre-call video, correct?
Who could tell that that was AI?
Everybody that we've called with this, I don't think that anybody's picked up on the fact that it is not a human. It is so automated. So like the human intervention required to use the system is so low.
So this call note here, you can see that right here, ask the price range. They want 220 to 250. So you can see here, like I don't need to review and I don't need to listen to a whole call recording.
I told you guys it was going to get better, right? It is what we've been talking about, and that is automatically cold calling. Right now we're scrubbing a list. I really wanted to have had this already done, but there's like 400 and what thousand, Aaron? A list
Like
that
422,000.
that is part of us beta testing it. But the fact that I would take that, you know how much it costs to skip trace, right? For us, it's 8 cents a record. So do the math. Have all that data and dump it into here. I'm confident it's going to return a result. Because even in the small data set, we had a 8.9% of the leads were interested in selling, those who answered the call. 8.9% of leads who are interested in, and total interest rate of the entire list was 1.2%. Now we know that, I mean, we'll take direct mail, not that anybody's doing that, but direct mail stats, people love to say it works, and it does, because all marketing works. But when we look at the response rate of direct mail, you're doing really well if you even get a 1% response rate. So really good stuff. And there's a couple things I'm going to share with you later that was mind-blowing for me. The absolutely most mind-blowing thing, because I had to change my thinking on this, listening to a robot in the test pilots. And I don't know, Aaron, Nick, if you guys felt this way too, when you're actually testing it in the role play option that we have, like, were you thinking, I'm definitely talking to a robot, this is ridiculous, okay, let's see if you screw up again? Share your thoughts on that, man.
When I first started testing it, I'm like, all right, yeah, I can tell that it's AI, but the more and more I trend down like the AI conversations of like what's possible with the technology, I realize that I'm just super close to it. And like I'm always nitpicking. Like there's another AI that we use that I can make a digital clone of myself that I can just copy and paste any type of script that I want it to say, and it'll automatically generate that and like hand motions and everything. And to me, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see where it's kind of AI generated, but I send that to my wife. I send that to my parents. I send that to other colleagues and stuff. And I'm like, hey, check this out. And they're like, dude, I can't even tell that it's AI. So I think there's a lot to kind of just glean from. We're super close to it. So we're always trying to think like, hey, I wish this was better. I wish it wouldn't have that 0.003 second delay in between the response times. But to the average person, and when you listen to the call recordings of that super small batch that we ran, people weren't thrown off about it. And then like I also play in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, hey, when I call my credit card company and I'm talking with them, or I call my bank, like they're all using AI anyways. But it's a more simpler approach of press 1 for customer service, press 2 for this, press 3 for this. And now we have the ability that you don't even need that. Like you just talk naturally and have a conversation. So right. I've been pleasantly surprised by how accurate it can be and the improvements that you can make, because now we can start identifying like, hey, this is what went wrong, or maybe we just want to tweak and adjust it to get a better response rate. Tweaking the scripting, tweaking how it interacts with people, even tweaking the tonnage. Like the first batch that we ran, it was from a male perspective. So we're re-engineering the scripting and we're having it come from a female. And we're re-engineering the scripting of what do we ask first to get that buy-in. So there's just so much tweaking and adjustments that can be done. And yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised.
One of the things that Aaron and I have in common is that, like, when it comes to this stuff, we tend to be fairly perfectionist, and we also understand what's possible, what's coming. Like, we see the long-term vision for this, and we're like, we wish we were there. We wish we were 6 months out or a year out, because we know it's going to get substantially better. We're always wanting to tweak and improve, but at the same time, like, I've got a similar experience to Aaron, where like every time I send it to somebody, they're like, no way. That's amazing. Like I'm sitting on a call. I've done a couple calls with people. I'll have the AI call them, and they're sitting there smiling ear to ear, and they're like the other guy's jaws dropped, and it's just like, there's no way that this is AI. It's a fairly sophisticated conversation to have with a robot, and it's responding, not as quick as we'd like it because, we're so close to it, like Aaron said, but at the same time, most people can't tell the difference. And you got to remember also that the vast majority of the people that we're calling with this, they're not going to be like super tech savvy. They're not going to be like, it's just not that type of persona. Everybody that we've called with this, I don't think that anybody's picked up on the fact that it is not a human. I think that they assume it's a human being. They have a conversation with it like it's a human being. It's not perfect. Like there are things that we will improve over time, and there are things that we'd like to see improved in the system in general, but it is pretty damn good and pretty damn impressive. And I think that one of the things that Christian did not comment on yet is the fact that it is so automated. So like the human intervention required to use the system is so low, like compared to, so I also run a team of VAs, and like, it just is what it is. When you're managing people, it doesn't matter who the person is, even if they're a rock star, they're going to have things that come up, and they're going to have good days and bad days. The consistency of this is just probably one of the most important factors to me. Like, you can just push a button, press go, and you can respond to people who have raised their hand, and it's as simple as that.
The biggest difference, I think, between human cold callers and AI cold callers, from a business owner who is going to be hiring one of the two, right? When we're hiring cold callers, usually we're like, oh, we'll pay an agency who manages cold callers. And like, I'm not like digging in. I'm not like, oh, give me recordings. Let me listen to how they're saying stuff, how they're responding, all that stuff. I'm not nitpicking them apart. I'm like, $6 an hour? Sure, let's go. Right. And if I don't see results from it, like after a period of time, then we're going to move on, but like, how good can a crappy $6 an hour cold caller be? But on the tech side, we're like, oh, well, let me hear everything that's doing and nitpick it apart, right? Like, reality is, crappy cold callers are crappy cold callers, right? Like, and most of them are not going to, like, they're literally just clocking in, clocking out. They're not doing anything to better themselves as a cold caller. Like, so what you get when they sign up, if they've been a cold caller before, you've probably got them capped out unless the agency is, providing additional training and call reviews and stuff like that, which most of them are not, right? Most of them are like, nope, just dial, get somebody to say, yes, I'm interested, send over the lead, right? But with AI, like, the built-in functionality is it does get better automatically just by virtue of the algorithm and how it actually works. So even if it's starting out slightly below humans' ability, it's going to far exceed that very rapidly.
You bring up a good point, and one thing to really emphasize about that is you mentioned $6 an hour. Yes, $6, $6.50 an hour. That's not what the actual cold caller is getting in their pocket, as everybody knows. It's being managed by an agency. So consider the skill level that would qualify somebody for a $4 an hour job as a VA. So it might be less than that too, depending on the agency. So they may be getting $3 an hour. So if you hire somebody for $3 an hour, sometimes it's very true, you get what you pay for. And if they want to be consistent, I think a point that you brought up, Chris, that deserves underscoring is if they want to improve, the VA themselves, what motivation do they have? Because there's a cap for them. There's a ceiling that they're never going to be able to make in their pocket with that same cold call company $9 an hour, which would be a lot for them, no matter how good they were, right? They'd have to move on from the company.
There's different nuances with using VA and like talent from overseas. Like, you have the accent barrier, right? So like each way they have their pros and cons. Like, these AI agents that we're using, the voice itself is so realistic that you'll never be able to tell that the voice itself is AI. Like, really, when you're really nitpicking and stuff, you realize that it's a little bit AI because of the latency and the response time. Because what's happening is, like, everything I'm saying needs to be translated to text, and then from text it needs to get a response, and then from that response it needs to convert that text back into a voice. So there's all this stuff happening on the back end that it's just going to keep getting better over time. But the actual tonnage of that AI agent is so realistic, and the ability that we can swap in between different avatars and different voices, just so super powerful that, yeah, whenever someone gets a call from a overseas VA, like there's some turn off there with, hey, like, you have an accent. Maybe I can't understand you. Maybe the accent's too strong, or maybe I don't trust you because of all the scams that are happening right now. Like, this is very realistic, US sounding voice. That's a huge win of itself.
Does anybody in here follow Carlos Reyes on Instagram at all? Okay, Carlos Reyes has built multiple, I mean, dude's doing like 8 figures a year in his businesses. And he actually has his own cold calling company. And the reason why he built this cold calling company is because the cold calling company that he was using previously, what came out was the fact that if you were buying data and hiring cold callers, guess what they were doing? They were sending all of those same leads to 100 other people. Basically, they're just double, triple, quadruple dipping on the revenue, but not actually putting out the additional work, right? And so you also have that to run the risk of. And so then it begs the question of like, okay, well, now you have to vet the proper agency who you can trust and be confident that they're going to do the right thing and not do that, or build your own team of cold callers, which adds on a whole nother layer of complexity, time, energy, effort, and, you know, a sunk cost that, you know, are you even in a position to do that? And, you know, myself, Christian, and Nick, we can all speak to exactly what that looks like. And it's not a fun prospect for somebody starting out, right? Versus literally just push button and guess what? They're not going to get COVID. Guess what? They're not going to have to take a dump, you know, 3 times a day, you know, because of whatever they're eating, right? Like none of that, right? It's just push button, go.
You also touched on something right there where the scalability of it, like if you wanted to go from 1 cold caller to 10 cold callers, the complexity of doing that is significant. Whereas if you want to just crank the volume on this, you just load more into the machine and press go. You just set, hey, I want to do this many today. And you can go from the equivalent of 1 cold caller to 10 cold callers and back to 1 and then back to, like, you can just, it's based on what you need. So if you've got a bunch of deals in the pipeline and you just can't handle, like you got to focus on dispo or whatever, you have the opportunity to slow things down so that you're not missing out on opportunities on the front end, or vice versa. Like say you've cleared everything out and you just, it's time to bring in the leads, then you can go to town. I think it's a really agile way to handle your lead gen as well. It's kind of like what you can do with PPC, but I think that we all know PPC can be exceptionally expensive. And, you know, the nice thing about this is it just doesn't have to be.
When you said like dialing down, right? Like I can tell you from firsthand experience, like when you care about your team members, like people that you're bringing on, the last conversation you want to have with them is like, hey, we're not in a position to keep paying you. I know you're living in, you know, a 3rd world country and barely able to keep food on the table for, you know, your 3 kids. Sorry, not sorry. It just has to happen. You know what I mean? So like, that's a tough conversation. You don't have to have that with a robot.
That is such a good point. Like, you know, Chris and I have been doing this for a long time. And even since 2009, when I started real estate investing, I've had to have those conversations. And I actually care about people, and I know all of you do too. So having those conversations is really tough. In fact, this is literally the first time that, and maybe it is for you guys too, that you thought about that's also a benefit of actually outsourcing to AI for cold calling instead of having to let somebody else down possibly in the future, or discipline them, or like any number of things that happen when you're interacting with another person.
That's a really good point. I just had to let 4 people go just because their position became obsolete. And it's like, I know them well, we've worked together for well over a year, that I know that, you know, the 2 of them are husband and wife, they have kids, and like I put it off for as long as I could, but it's just, you can't justify keeping people on just to keep them on, you know, like you can't just pay salaries to pay salaries. And so we had to have a tough conversation. And yeah, so there's a lot of benefit there. There's all sorts of things we can continue to layer on here. Actually, I think that the nice thing about it is that there's so many benefits, and the barrier to entry is also like nominal. You know, it's such a low threshold to get started with it. So it's such a nice thing for people to be able to try and for size. You know, VAs are always going to have a place. Like there are things in your business that need a human to operate it. And like we use VAs to feed the machine. We use VAs to listen to some of the calls. We use VAs for certain things, but like the number of VAs that you need to operate this machine at scale is like one. I don't know, like Aaron, what do you think? Like, it's like, you don't need a big old team anymore. You need like one really good person, or depending on your scope, like maybe a couple, but your cost can be fairly minimal.
I think that's what's so exciting is the way that we have this designed is we have it only notify, and we have it all updated in a CRM that it only notifies you whenever someone raises their hand of, yes, I'm interested in selling, I'd like to have that conversation. So literally you have a VA that's in your account that can go through and just worry about those hand raises of, yes, like I want to sell. The other tens of thousands of calls that are being made every single day, like don't even worry about them. Like you just worry on whatever is the positive replies. So like your time of what a VA is going to do, like their time and your time is going to be substantially like much more productive because you're only worrying about positive responses. And there's just, there's a lot that we have baked into the system of just being able to transcribe the entire recording and then just use AI to take that transcription and turn that into a summary. So you no longer need to listen to a 5-hour call recording. We have the summary right there that it's hey, we called Nick Deck. Nick Deck owns the property at 123 Main Street. Nick Deck also said that he's interested in selling. There's no repairs or anything substantial needed to the property. They want to go ahead and close in 2 months. They want X amount of dollars for their property. Like all the questions that the AI agent is asking, it will take that and then it'll just summarize that for you so that you just have a bulleted list of like, what is the outcome of this call? Are they interested in selling? How much do they want for the property? Is there any type of repairs that are needed? Whatever we prompt it to ask, we can take that transcription and it's just a summary. So it's just so cool to see how much more efficient you can be with your time and your team's time by just leveraging some of this tech.
Yeah, and you built it, by the way, custom for the CRM to be able to actually intake these. One failure spot that we saw with the Air AI platform was the ability to actually manage leads, execute campaigns. So that's what Aaron, he was like, yo, I have the genius behind this. And he was able to go into build it off a reliable platform rather than the ground up, because why reinvent the wheel? And Go High-level is awesome. So he took that and then he built in all of the integrations. Can you speak to some of that and what you actually did, because you're the mastermind behind developing it?
I'd love to hear it, but I'd like just like looking at the complexity, like you don't have to share the whole thing, but like just even a quick screen share of like what it looks like behind the scenes. I think it's so impressive that I think it's worth sharing.
This is the AI account that we have set up. Basically what this pipeline shows is we can track everyone that's been entered into the campaign. Hey, people that hung up before 30 seconds, so probably not interested. The call connected but dropped off for 30 seconds. All of this column is all leads that are connected longer than 30 seconds. So there was some type of back and forth conversation that was being had there that was longer than 30 seconds that necessitates, hey, I want to go ahead and review this and make sure that maybe no gaps are being hit. So we can also track if a voicemail was connected. This reply to SMS, that's just going to be kind of like a 2.0 once we add in SMS AI to this as well.
I've seen some of the stuff that the chatbot can do on the one that Aaron's incorporated in this system, and it's significantly better. So we don't have to dive into that in too much depth, but I think that I did want to speak to that because it's a lot more human, honestly, and that's the whole point.
Then you can see like interested in selling, later follow up, not interested in selling. All of these leads, I can go ahead and click in here. So we'll take Calvin for example. And if I go down here, it has address, obviously, because we're pulling that in from the skip trace data. But we have a folder down here that is the Air AI agent. So this is what I was talking about, the Air AI call notes. So we have the disposition. This agent dispoed it to, hey, this needs a follow-up. And then it's going to go ahead and say, hey, the prospect confirmed that the property is located at South Campbell Ave, expressed some interest in selling the property for an all-cash offer or on creative terms. They mentioned that the speed is important to them and that they're looking to sell the property pretty fast. There's no other decision makers, and this is just all scripting that we have prompted. So this call note here, you can see that right here, ask the price range. They want 220 to 250. So you can see here, like, I don't need a review and I don't need to listen to a whole call recording. This call was 203 seconds, 4 minutes of your time. If you want to, the call link's right here. Grab that, copy it, paste it in the thing, and you can go ahead and listen to the call recording right here.
I know that we also want kind of a high level function of like, what'll it do for me? But in terms of the complexity, it's a series of actions, and they go from the Air Ai platform into ChatGPT, into this custom CRM, and it just extrapolates the key points from, that are fired off from the automations from the original platform through ChatGPT in here, so that we see the bottom line. What this is basically the notes that were copied and pasted from the conversation by the agent. Picture it being a human, same thing. And that's what we wanted to see. And that's what Aaron has built inside of this platform, which I think is phenomenal. We've made a lot of notes about what we want to see, but the truth is, when you desire something better because it creates efficiencies, which leads to more conversions of qualified prospects so that you can grow and scale your business, it becomes a necessity to have something that's better, to fit in what you need rather than just what's available. And that's the reason why Aaron has piloted this from the ground up, building this platform the way that he has.
One of the things just to keep in mind, like, as technology continues to evolve, some of these platforms, they just have a very closed loop. Like, if you're dealing with Go High-level on their native AI features and like their native AI bot, it's limited, right? Because it's not just an AI company. They're just not spending all of their time and development manpower trying to build out AI. They're building this whole host of other products and services and features. Whereas, like, the route that we're taking it is, let's use open source platforms that if we want to adjust something, we can adjust the prompting. We can adjust the personality of the AI. Like, we have full control over that. Versus some of these other platforms, like, they kind of keep it behind the scenes, tucked away, that you can't make the tweaks and edits that you want. So by just building it with like an open source, open loop in mind, it just opens up so many more possibilities to, hey, how can we use AI to do things like transcribing the entire call and then just giving a bullet point list? And then can we also build into that it references that bullet point list and sends an email follow-up saying, hey, Nick, it was so great chatting with you. I just wanted to drop a couple of points here from our conversation. I look forward to taking next steps with you. And it takes the outcome of that call and just throws it right into an email. Like, all that stuff is stuff that we can build and what's potential by just having it all be open source and like owning the process.
All right, let's hear some calls.
I'll share my screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. This is a direct recording.
Hey, Narigis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Alex from Heroes of Real Estate. How's your day going so far?
Good.
There is just silence. Remember, this was a lead that was generated, okay? That, like, you see the screen, it's playing. There's actually no audio coming through right now. This is the worst of the worst. You'd think I'd showcase the best of the best. I'm not, and I'm doing it for a reason. This dude still has no idea he's talking to AI. And what's happening right here, I can tell you, is prompt engineered into the script. It said, wait for the prospect to respond. How's your day going so far? And the dude was just like, no. So he's waiting. So we're going to listen. And I can scrub, like,
Let it roll.
Yeah. It's been like, who sits on an open line with dead space?
Hello?
See?
Hey there, glad to hear from you.
So it looks like you own the property located at... Is that correct?
Yes.
Great. Well, the reason for my call is to see if you'd have any interest in selling your property for an all-cash offer or on creative terms. We are an investment firm and would be happy to put together a formal offer on your property if you have any interest.
Yes, I do.
That's fantastic to hear. I'm glad you're open to the possibility. Before we proceed, I just have a few questions about the property. Do you have a couple of minutes to answer them?
Yes.
Awesome. I appreciate your time. First off, I'm curious, how quickly are you looking to sell the property?
Soon is better.
Got it. Speed is important to you. And are there any other decision makers involved in this property? Anyone else on the deed or title besides yourself?
No.
All right, it's just you then. Now, is there anything that needs attention or repair in the property? Any major issues with the roof, siding, foundation, or any major appliances?
No.
That's good to know. Lastly, what has you considering selling the property? Is there a specific reason or circumstance that's motivating you?
No.
I understand sometimes circumstances change. One last question before I let you go. Do you have a price range in mind that you'd like to see for the property? This will help my team put together the best offer for you.
220.
How many of you had no idea what he said? He's like 120. Is that
Yeah, I
four?
thought I said 220.
Right. Well, keep listening. Patience is a virtue. The AI didn't say nothing; it just waited, and this dude waited. So
I would
listen.
have been hung up.
I told you I'm sharing the worst of the worst because the hiccup in here is that there needs to be some prompt in here that says, hey, if there's like an really impregnated pause that is just really long, like say, hey, are you still there, or something like that.
We're not used to seeing such strong accents on the receiving end of the calls. Like, you've got strong accents on our side when we're doing the cold calling. In this case, this is one of those situations where like the party being called is actually we're having a really hard time understanding it too. It's the AI is not even picking up that it's words in some cases. So this is definitely one of those that Christian's not getting when it's the worst of the worst.
And the truth is, there are other ones where the accents were really hard from the actual prospect, and the AI was like snapping back and already could tell like immediately. And this is one of those where even we're having difficulty understanding. So, and that's one of the reasons we selected this to play. And this is the longest one, by the way. The other ones are a lot shorter. How many of you guys think that this seller is actually motivated to sell their property?
Yeah, this guy definitely
on the
wants
phone.
to sell.
Right.
I would have got off a long time ago.
I know. So he's clearly motivated to sell his property. How many people wanted to have this conversation with this person to try and figure that out? Or would you rather leverage AI?
You gave him a price.
Yeah.
Motivation.
Dude wants to sell his property, gave him a price, whether it was 400 or 200 and we couldn't really understand it. Right? What does this do? Manual follow-up. It's
Exactly.
elite. The guy wants to sell. So that was the most, just like, come on, man, example. The other ones, it's all downhill from here. And it's
Should put for like long pauses like that, you should put a cough in there. Excuse me. Let it say that just to like remind the person that you're still on the phone and you're waiting for an answer.
we're having a conversation. So if anything can be said about that is that the AI is patient. And frankly, so is that guy. I mean, if he's used to having silent conversations, maybe he's just a big fan of Charlie Chaplin. I don't know. Let's go to the next one.
Hello.
Yeah, it's Alex. So I noticed that you own the property located at...
Yeah, I'm still out of my house though, so I'm not doing anything right now. So wait till next year.
No worries. I understand
Okay.
that you're currently not at the property. Just wanted to touch base and see if you have any interest in selling it in the future. We're an
Yeah.
investment firm and we can offer you an all-cash deal or explore creative terms. Would you be
Yeah.
open to that?
Sure.
Okay, sounds good. I have a few
Okay.
questions about the property if you have a couple of minutes. Then we can go
I'm
ahead and put
really-
together an offer for you. Firstly, how
really-
fast would you be looking to sell?
I'm really sick right now, so I'm just laying in bed here and I'm just not feeling well. So let's do this another time, okay?
No worries. I appreciate your time. Take care and get well soon.
Thanks.
If you ever choose to sell in the future, please give us a call. Have a
All
great
right.
day.
Thanks. Bye.
And this is the lens to ask through which to ask this question. Is that an actual lead? Does she want to sell? And by the way, keep in mind, this was in December. So when they say next year, they mean now.
It's pretty close, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a lead. And it does get better, even this one.
Hey, Ray.
Yes,
It's Alex from Heroes of Real Estate. How's your day going so far?
I'm fine. Who is this?
I'm Alex, calling from Heroes of Real Estate. I wanted to talk to you about the property you own. Is that correct?
Yes.
Great. Well, the reason for my call is to see if you'd have any interest in selling your property for an all-cash offer or on creative terms. We are an investment firm and would be happy to put together a formal offer on your property if you have any interest.
Not at this time. Maybe come spring.
No worries, I totally understand. What if we gave you an all-cash offer with no closing costs or contingencies? Would that change your decision?
I have a lot of moving, and I'm planning on being down in Florida next week for the winter. So
I completely understand. Moving can be a hectic process. Just out of curiosity, how fast would you be looking to sell your property?
I could do it in spring, but I'm not ready to at this point in time. If
Got
you
it,
want to
Ray.
give me a call back in spring, go right ahead.
No worries, I appreciate the time. Have a great
Okay.
day.
What do you guys think about that one? Right? Talking over him a little bit. Is he still a prospect? Yes. He wants to sell in spring, which is a couple months from now, right? And at that time, 4 months, at most. What do we do with that? We can manually follow up, and we can even dig in deeper with a human perspective and say, hey, I understand that moving is a headache. Like, just talk to me about the challenges there. Like, why spring in particular? Is it only because you're physically not going to be there? What if I were to make you an offer right now, right? And this isn't verbiage to close somebody, but these are just questions to consider, because you could get a longer escrow. So this could be a deal now with a longer escrow. All that said, it's a lead. We'll just listen to one more. And by the way, these are not the best of the best, as I mentioned. These are kind of the mediocre to worst. The other conversations are better. But I'd rather just show you guys like, let's lower the bar here as much as we can, because there are some really, really cool ones that are concise to the point and really fun to listen to. So let's listen to this last.
Hey, Mendocino. It's Alex from Heroes of Real Estate. How's your day going so far?
Not bad. What do you want?
Great to hear that your day is going well. The reason for my call is to see if you'd have any interest in selling your property located at... Is this right?
Yes, it is right.
Okay, perfect. Well, the reason for my call is to see if you'd have any interest in selling your property for an all-cash offer or on creative terms. We are an investment firm and would be happy to put together a formal offer on your property if you have interest.
Did you say something about a low cash offer?
I understand your concern about a low cash offer.
How are you concerned about that? I never said anything about low cash. That came from you, low cash offer.
Oh, my apologies for any confusion. I must have misunderstood. Let's move forward. I have a few questions about the property if you have 2 minutes. Then we can go ahead and put together an offer.
Sure, go ahead.
Great, thank you. Now, I'm just curious, how fast would you be looking to sell?
Yesterday.
I understand time is of the essence. And are there any other decision makers with this property?
No.
Got it, you're the sole decision maker. And is there anything wrong with the property right now? Any major repairs or renovations needed to the roof, siding, foundation, or major appliances?
Nothing. The deck needs to be redone.
What is the reason that you're considering selling the property?
Well, because it's too much for me. I'm retired and I don't need a big house like this anymore.
It makes sense that you might be looking to downsize and simplify your living situation. Thank you for sharing that with me. Now, just one last quick question before I let you go. Do you have a price range in mind that you'd like to see? This will help my team put together the best offer for you.
$550.
Got it. Thanks for sharing the price range of $550,000. I will share this information with my team, and they will be reaching out to you shortly to confirm some details and start working on an offer for you.
Take care.
You take care as well. Have a great day.
The nice thing about it is that, at least in my experience, when somebody's motivated, somebody's motivated.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
if they got a problem and you're going to give them an offer on it, the next conversation can be the pro that comes in and just razzle dazzles them, gets them to really, starts to build that rapport, establish a relationship, establish a trust. This is just like breaking down the first line of defense, and I think that's it. Most of the time that you're spending on the phone when you're reaching out to people is either not getting answers, getting hung up on, getting cussed out, whatever, and the AI gets to cut away a lot of that stuff. So I think that's the big benefit. And if you just look at the sheer scale that you can hold these conversations on, like you can be having 1,000 of these at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big benefit. Like, as much as we all would be embarrassed and super awkward to be on that conversation, like if that was us, it's it's a means to an end, you guys. And I think that's the thing that we've all had to come to terms with, is like, it's not perfect. Like we were saying, it's not going to be as eloquent as Christian is, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be to get somebody who is already in pain to raise their hand and be like, yeah, I do want to sell my house. Yes, this is how much I want for it. This is the status of it. Like, you sound like you're having a hard time, understanding what I'm saying. But at the same time, if you're going to make me a cash offer, I'll stumble through this with you. And that's what we found is, if the motivation's there, the AI is going to be able to get that out of them. And that's one of the beautiful things about it.
Which goes to, actually speaks to a really important piece to this right now, especially as it's in beta. We are actively in the process of creating very specific trainings. What it will entail is how to make sure that you get lists with pain points, how to actually upload and kick off the campaigns automatically within the platform, and then just in general, like how to use the platform and trainings and stuff. Obviously, the goal is to eliminate as many support tickets when we go to market. And that said too, even those rough calls that were the examples that still led to leads that were generated, the AI is going to get better, and it's already better already. There's a couple different, and I'm not going to do another call or anything, but there's a sample voice of this, the newest one, which, I mean, to me, I almost can't tell that it's an AI, but I do know because I'm sitting here looking at it. So listen to this real quick. This is just like a sentence.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Well, we'll kind of dive into it. I'm glad we were able to chat today. I know you talked to Matt for a minute. He had kind of filled me in on some of the conversation, but I just wanted to take some time and kind of figure out if we can help continue building your business. I'm assuming at this point you've probably watched and learned quite a bit about how we do this on our pre-call video, correct?
I told you guys it was going to get better, right? You listened to a couple months ago, last month. That voice right there is one of like 10. And that one, who could tell that was AI? Okay, here's another one, guys.
Solid. I guess for now, I'd like to kind of get to know your business a little bit better here. And, of course, by the end of the conversation, I'll help you figure out if this is going to be the right system for you and whether this is going to get you the results that you need.
So I cut it right there, but you guys hear that? That's a little bit different than, that's the standard female American voice. There's the other one was the soft spoken. There's even Southern accent.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Well, we'll kind of dive into it. I'm glad we were able to chat today. And I know you had, you talked to Matt for a minute.
Here's one from just a little further south.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Well, we'll kind of dive into it. I'm glad we were able to chat today. I know you had you talked to Matt for a minute. He had kind of filled me out on some of the conversation, but I just wanted to take some time and kind of figure out if we can help continue building your business.
There you go. There's more samples, but guys, when we talked months ago and I mentioned this is just going to get better with the accents, you can hear the breath. I don't know if you can through, it's coming out of my speakers into the mic, but they have breath. All right, just gonna figure out the details about to see if we can help build your business. Definitely wanna, have a little bit more of a conversation about it. So it's like totally legit. And then this one I call Andrew Castine.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Well, we'll kind of dive into it. I'm glad we were able to chat today. I know you had you talked to Matt for a minute. He had kind of filled me in on some of the conversation, but I just wanted to take some time and kind of figure out. I mean, you obviously wanted to take time and figure out if we can help continue building your business. I'm assuming at this point you probably watched and learned quite a bit about how we do this on our pre-call video, correct?
Bro. And those are the voices that are going out now, right? Those are already ready already. So when I said I shared the worst of the worst with you, I did. So anyway, it's only going to get better even from there with the integrations, with the listening, the active listening, the quickness with which they respond. So that is what we have to look forward to. If there's any questions that we have from you guys, I think at least taking note of them right now, if it's not appropriate to address right now because we're already going to address it, now would be a good time just to ask it at minimum, just to take notes on the questions you guys have.
Can you schedule with the AI like what they're saying as far as if they're going to try to schedule you a follow-up call with the team? Does your calendar integrate or like a window of time on a certain day that the AI can offer to them for a call to be received or sent out?
Yeah, for sure. So at the very minimal, what we can do is we can have that kick off like an SMS campaign that's hey, great chatting with you. Just wanted to drop you my calendar link. Grab a time that works well with you over the next couple of days. So that's just like a native link that you can go ahead and drop a Calendly link. You can drop a Go High-level calendar. You can drop whatever type of scheduling platform you want to use. We can fire off an SMS. Kind of the next phase of this, it is possible. We just got to build it. It's not built yet, but there will be the ability that on that phone call, that AI agent will actually schedule the call for you. So it can say, hey, Nick, thanks so much for sharing all the details. I really think that we could come up with a great offer for you. I think there's a lot of synergies here. How's Tuesday at 3 p.m.? Hey, no, sorry, can't do Tuesday. How about Wednesday? How about 6, right? And then the AI checks the calendar, right? Through the integration. It's like, yep, cool, I'm available. Well, sounds good. I'm gonna go ahead and schedule you with Nick. He's gonna be your guy to go through all of the additional offer and additional questions that we might have to get this over the finish line for you. Okay, hey, great. We'll talk on Thursday. So that's gonna be built. It is possible, it just hasn't been built yet. But at very minimal, you can drop calendar links. You can have it schedule that call right there on the phone, and it'll reference. A lot of times, it just references that Google Calendar, just like Calendly does, or Go High-level references that Google Calendar. So as long as that's updated with your availability, the AI will know when to schedule the call for you.
The functionality exists already. It's just a matter of what was more important in the beginning to launch this and give you guys and everyone the ability to start using it the highest level possible. And going back and forth about times was secondary to texting you a link right now where you can schedule time. So at the end of the day, you know, the base, he said at minimum we can have it kick off an SMS. And if that weren't the minimum is we'll call you, like our team will reach out within the next 24 to 48 hours. So it is something that will be built, but right now it's very functional and it works.
Obviously, you can send out SMS. So the platform has SMS capabilities alongside the AI cold call capabilities. So could you, like, as it sits, could you use it as a text, I guess, blast CRM as well, just without the AI involved at the moment?
It's full conversational, so you can have SMS, email, Facebook Messenger, Google, like all of those messaging channels will funnel through. The thing that I would just caution you on is the verbiage of SMS blast. You don't just want to blast out messages to thousands of people with the all new A2P 10 DLC restrictions and stuff. So yes, with our software and with the setup, you'll go through an A2P process where it's going to ask you for getting your business registered, your EIN number, your address, all that. And then you just want to make sure that you're following best practices there. So yes, it can be used. Just make sure that you're following best practices, not spamming people, having a low opt-out rate, making sure that you're not reaching out to people on a DNC list. So just those normal best practices. But inside of that, you can use it for full email, SMS communication, all of that.
When is this usable?
We're still polishing up the kind of go-to-market assets, things like that. But for anybody who's willing to just jump in as a beta tester and be kind of part of our guinea pig group, I think that we're ready to take you guys on and make this work. We understand that it's not perfect yet, but at the same time, like, we're looking for people that also understand it's not perfect and are willing to, you know, be compensated effectively for your feedback and, you know, things like that. So when we take it to market, it's going to be a little bit more polished. It's going to be at a higher price point, but given who you guys are, I think that, you know, I'm personally ready to open up the doors and put this thing on, and, you know, we can get you guys the support, get you guys in the system.
We're definitely down with that. One thing I really wanted to do though was just what you mentioned in terms of it being in beta. For it being in beta, it's like very not beta.
I want to clarify the beta that I was referring to is like the product works really well. The rest of us have to get together so that we can bring people on in an effective way and, you know, and scale this thing up, because it is going to be something that once you see what it can do, it's going to get a lot of attention. So that's all I meant. It's like, we want to bring you guys on first and then we can get our act together. But yeah, the product is absolutely, like, we've been using it, and it's cool.
Right now, can it generate leads? Yes, absolutely. And I never shared this at the beginning of the call. I asked Aaron and Nick what they thought, but my question, and I'll answer it now, was there anything that surprised you and shocked you? What shocked me was, like, literally 90% of, if not more, and I'm being generous, probably more like 95% of the people literally had absolutely no clue they were talking to a robot. None of them. Like, the result is really good, and I was focused more, much like Aaron and Nick,
or just didn't express it, right? Like, they might have known that they were talking to a robot, but like they carried on.
Yeah, there's not really a definitive clue that I'm given when I'm listening to the dozens and dozens of recordings that I've listened to that says, hey, they probably think they're talking to a machine. But the result is what I focused on, because I realized we could be perfectionists about this thing that's eventually going to fool even us, but we've been so close to it. So I look at the result and I'm like, dude, that old lady just was like, yeah, I've been thinking about selling my property. That's a lead right there. And this other guy who's from, I think, Nigeria, that's what his accent sounded like. He's like, you can buy it. Yeah, you can buy it right now. Make an offer. I also have another property that I'm looking to sell as well. It's a mixed use commercial. And I'm just like, these people have no clue.
Do you have to have the Go High-level CRM to use or kind of be a beta tester for this?
Yes, in this capacity, absolutely. We found it insurmountably inefficient to do this at scale in any regard and manage the leads without it, because otherwise you would literally have to listen to every single one of the calls or look at all of the transcripts, and that's absolutely not scalable. This is just Air AI is the platform we're using that gives us the ability to make these calls integrated with API into ChatGPT and then an API into this custom CRM. So yeah, that is the only way that this would ever make sense. I tried to do it without this, and then Aaron's just like, yeah, Christian, that's ridiculous. Having 100 different logins to all these different platforms to run your business is also not scalable. So that's why we want to make it easy and put all this stuff in one.
Are there scripts built out for like different leads?
That's a great question. Honestly, like this is the question that always comes up. We don't want to kind of compartmentalize it. The same kind of, hey, I'm just looking to buy a house script is what we have. And that's because that's what we would do on the phone as well, right? So there's really not a per specific use case scenario, although I can see the benefit for there being in the future when it pertains to like probates, if you're targeting probates or something like that. But right now it's just a general, we're looking to buy the house in the area, so I'm seeing if you're interested.
You know, I've done some cool stuff with direct to agent approach in the past, and like obviously gonna reach out to an agent with a different script. But right now, the nice thing about it is that we're trying to keep it simple. One of the things that we tend to do, because you know we all come from a bit of a marketing background, is that we try to get one thing working really, really well and then move on to the next piece versus diverting our focus and potentially muddying the impact that we can create.
How does the like dial system work?
All of that's through the CRM. So basically what the process looks like is you'll get your list of data, you'll scrub it, make sure all the DNCs are pulled out, make sure that it's a legit list. You'll upload that into the CRM, and then you just add a tag, and then that tag adds them into our power dialer. So one thing that we didn't mention is that first campaign that we ran with the 465 contacts or whatever, we actually had the AI follow up with them 7 times. So if they didn't connect on the first time, they got another phone call a day later. Then they got another phone call 3 days later. Then they got another phone call 3 days after that. So the whole follow-up process with that list as well is also automated. So you just have to upload that list, tag it once, and then we have all of the automation built out depending on how many calls, how often we want to call them. And then as soon as they answer and that call is connected, removes them from the list so they don't get any more calls from you. That's really the main things. I mean, within the campaigns that we already have built, we have like certain windows that we can adjust for when the agent actually reaches out and calls. The follow-up stuff we mentioned. So I think that's all that I really have on my side, at least from a technical aspect.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of just walking through it step by step once you get your hands on it.
My goal is to get everybody off of all the other things that have been okay, but moved over to something that actually is kind of uniquely what you guys want it to be. Because as beta testers, if you guys see something that you strongly desire, if it's feasible, it's done.
So you guys know what the tickets are to integrate this one?
100. Yes, we do.
When you guys get to the SMS part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, that is good clarification too, because as soon as we do, it's like Nick said before he popped off, we want to do this one thing really, really well, and then move forward. So cold calling wins, bro. Cold calling is.
I agree.
You know, if it wasn't so tough to get an employee who is killer, like those voices we just listened to, it would be where we would pour most of our money into.